Here is a card I would recommend to most commander decks, not everyone, but most of them. And looking at a lot of different commander decks, I often find that this card is not included, when it probably should be. And this video is going to open your eyes to this creature, Oblivion Sower. It's a 6 mana 5/8 colorless Eldrazi creature, with an extremely unique ability that triggers when it's cast. When you cast Oblivion Sower, it exiles the top 4 cards of target opponent's library from the game, and after that, very importantly, it steals every land card that player owns in exile and put all of them into play under your control. Usually when you use this ability on an opponent with 40 lands or so in his or her library, you will usually steal 1 to 2 lands, and if you're lucky you will actually steal 3 lands. Let's compare Oblivion Sower with Dreamstone Hedron, a huge mana stone for 6 mana that taps for 3. It's built in the cycle that every 2 mana you spend you create 1 mana. Here are the smaller versions before Dreamstone Hedron. Now Oblivion Sower is most likely going to create 2 mana from the 6 mana you spend to cast Oblivion Sower, but you're also going to get a creature. And if Oblivion Sower gets removed, you're still going to keep all the lands you stole. And that's the biggest difference between Oblivion Sower and all those mana stones. Oblivion Sower creates a more resilient mana base. But it does one more thing. It disrupts your opponent's deck. If Oblivion Sower would exile one of these cards from Johnny the Combo Player, he would have a much harder time winning the game. Sometimes Johnny straight out scoops. The metagame in Commander is quite orientated around combo, and Oblivion Sower is one of those cards that could interrupt combo. If you are freaking lucky. Let's say that when you're casting Oblivion Sower, Johnny has 80 cards in his deck, and you're hoping to hit Laboratory Maniac. The percentage of actually hitting him is 5%, meaning it's going to happen in 1 of every 20 games. But usually combo puzzles requires 2 to 4 cards. The Necrotic Ooze combo you see here requires 4 cards. That means Oblivion Sower has a 20% chance of disrupting this combo. In this scenario where every card is inside the library of 80 cards. In the end, Oblivion Sower is a card that will help you deal a little bit with Johnny the Combo Player. Exiling cards from the top of his library is a bonus effect. So what you actually get for your 6 mana is a 5/8 colorless creature, usually an increase to your mana base around 2 lands, and a small disruption to your opponent's library. But we're actually not done yet. What Oblivion Sower actually do is it steals every land that is in exile, also those that were there before you cast Oblivion Sower. Grenzo the Havoc Racer exiles a card from the top of your opponent's library each time a creature you control deals combat damage to that player. Every little land that Grenzo is trying to pillage, Oblivion Sower will later steal. You would actually gain more lands than what you used to cast it. With Yeleva, you would actually ask everyone, alright, who has most cards in exile currently? Alright, you just got targeted by Oblivion Sower. Hand over the lands. Please? Una is paying X and then exiling X cards from your opponent's library. Using her would be exactly like Grenzo, gaining enormous amount of land, which would probably be used to gain more fairies and exiling more cards. Anima, Soul of Elementals, would actually cast Oblivion Sower for 0 once he has 6+1/+1 counters on him. I would like to mention that also when he does, he could combo off with Cloudstone Curio and any other artifact creature or Eldrazi creature. This little combination is quite crazy. Every little time you hit 2 or more lands with Oblivion Sower, you can repeat this process. It is not going to go infinite and instantly win, but it is going to go quite out of control. If any cards I've shown you right now is your commander, Oblivion Sower is quite auto-included in the deck. Because they turn Oblivion Sower into something like a dark ritual, they will actually gain more mana than spent to cast Oblivion Sower. But regardless of what commander you're actually playing, lands tend to be put into graveyards, from either fetch lands or evolving wilds. And graveyard is actually quite easy to wipe. If your commander has the color identity of black, you could play both Yukabog and Nihil Spellbomb. After removing the entire graveyard with all its lands, you would simply then cast Oblivion Sower and steal all the lands and build a huge mana base. It is actually quite an easy combination to execute, and something I recommend trying to do. A good reason to actually play Oblivion Sower, because sometimes another player is the one who removed the entire graveyard, and you're just being the one who exploiting it. Building a mana base is one of the most important things to do in Commander games, something I talked a lot about in a previous video. A Commander deck without the color of green usually have a problem doing this. They are mostly looking at artifacts to do the job. But Oblivion Sower is colorless, which means it has no color identity and can be put into every Commander deck out there. And it doesn't die to Vandal Blast or other massive artifact hate, or just combo off like a true Johnny combo player. With Sculpting Steel, you will copy Urza's Incubator that you already have in play, then you need Eye of Ugin, Klaus and Kuryu, and Oblivion Sower, then just any other Eldrazi that costs 6 or less. With this, you will exile all libraries from the game and create almost infinite Scions. If you're running an Eldrazi tribal deck, these cards are probably already included. I hope I have enlightened your game with this Eldrazi creature Oblivion Sower, with multi-purpose function being a creature that creates ramp, hurts combo and can also create combo. It is one of those cards that will never hurt to have in your hand.